Thank you so much, Melissa, and thank you, Congressman, for joining us. We appreciate it. One of the major themes from last night's hearing was that China did not and will not liberalize its economy following its admission to the WTO. So what does that mean for companies that are doing business in China?
I think you're seeing companies right now attempt to de-risk. That's the new phrase of the moment, recognizing that Xi Jinping is taking the country in a very dark direction where it's going to be increasingly difficult to do business. And I think that companies should not be fooled by the recent charm offensive that we've seen undertaken at the highest levels of the Chinese Communist Party. You know, they shouldn't think that if Liu He says something at Davos, that that's the actual direction. I think what one of our witnesses did, well, really a few of them did last night very effectively, was point out the discrepancy between what they say publicly to Western audiences and what they say internally to the party and to their own people. So I think it makes sense for us to contemplate a form of selective economic decoupling from China going forward. That's not a complete decoupling. Obviously, we're going to still have economic interaction, but when it comes to advanced pharmaceutical ingredients, when it comes to rare earths, we're going to have to find a way to reduce our dependency on China.
But one of the biggest proponents of the liberalization was former Treasury Secretary Hank Paulson. He was in your office this morning. Does he support that selective economic decoupling now?
I think there are meaningful disagreements between former Secretary Paulson and myself. One area of agreement, however, that we identified this morning is that as we selectively decouple, and I think he concedes that some form of that is inevitable. I don't want to put words in his mouth. We also have to simultaneously deepen our engagement with other parts of the world, find allies and partners that we can seek to enhance our economic partnership with. And that's an area where I think we're incredibly deficient right now. The trade agenda has really fallen off the radar for both parties. I have to believe, and this was another thing we tackled in our hearing last night, that even if the prospect of a big multilateral trade agreement isn't wise right now, we can identify bilateral trade agreements that make sense. A bilateral trade agreement with Taiwan, I think, is very sensible. A bilateral gold standard trade agreement with the UK, a post-Brexit trade agreement that had a docking provision that other countries could join, that would revitalize the trade agenda as well.